We have Christian Jamal here with us. I would say serial entrepreneur.
I've been having trouble closing 4K deals, and I quote the first guy at 12K. Signs up, no objection. 30 minutes later, this guy pays 12K again.
That's his advantage as a company. Is like he has people in-house training them to do it this way. Nobody can compete.
But the value comes from the longevity of the client.
My guy, I want to buy the competition. That's the whole point.
All right, so we have Christian Jamal here with us today on another episode of Behind the Rise. We're really excited to get into his background. He's a big-time entrepreneur. I would say a serial entrepreneur. He's got a lot of things going on. We're excited to get into the conversation. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys allowing me to have like a platform to speak to your audience and provide value. So I'm super excited. Let's do it.
I think he's the first marketing guy we've had on the podcast, because a lot of other guests that we have on are other type of entrepreneurs. We haven't had anyone in this industry of pure marketing. And
that's why I'm really excited about it, because we found that most people, they're right now it's all about the marketing. How can you acquire a customer? How can you do it? Everyone's doing marketing. Every company needs marketing, and we find that even in our businesses, that is the number one thing that we talk about daily, how to acquire new customers, new strategies, new things that you can do. So we're super excited to get into it and learn a lot. Honestly, selfishly, I can't wait to learn.
Even I feel like a lot of business owners could push and pull themselves to 7 figures, their first million. But to get to the 8 or the 9 figures, you really need to get granular with your marketing and your strategy. There's so many people or service-based industries or restaurant or something that could really just push and pull themselves to get to $1 million, let's just say. But to get to the next level, you really need some good marketing and strategy and just kind of knowing how to do all that with KPIs.
Retention's huge too.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that.
So Christian, man, let's get into it. So we usually start with asking, what was your childhood like? Where did you grow up? And just give us some background there.
Yeah, for sure. So very not typical, right? Everybody tells you they grew up here in the States, low middle class family, whatever. They hated that. But I actually grew up in the Middle East, right? I grew up in Lebanon. I was born there. I was raised there till I was about the age of 14. We were extremely poor at the time, but my parents were separated. So my dad was living in Qatar, between Qatar and Dubai at the time. So he was doing well with his business. But where I was living with my mom, we were very, very poor, right? And at the age of 14 is the age that you get to decide who you want to live with in Lebanon. When your parents are separated, you get to decide. So I had decided that I wanted to go live with my dad, right? So I was able to leave Lebanon at the age of 14. I spent 2 years in Qatar. That was kind of my home base. But then we went back and forth between Dubai as well. So imagine this. Imagine the shock of a 14-year-old going from nothing to fucking Dubai, right? So it's it was crazy to me to see that difference in lifestyle. And then that actually only lasted 2 years, because at the age of 17-ish, let's say 2.5 years, 17, I moved to the States because anyways, my goal was to come to study in the United States. That was always my life goal. I always loved America, the culture here, the technology here. I was big fanatic of technology growing up, and us having this probably one of the slowest internets and technology advances in the world. You look into the US and you're holy shit, I want to live there, So when I first moved here, funny enough, my dad was I'll come with you. Okay. So he had a little bit of cash laying around because of his business back home. And then actually the minute we got here, I think it was within a couple months, the market actually crashed there. And his company went from being a multi-7-figure business to nothing, literally zero sales a month. So it was crazy to me because I was okay, we had nothing. Then I had everything. Now I'm back to having nothing. So I was nah, I don't want this life for me. I want to go back to having everything because I tasted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I know not everybody has that experience, but the thing is, I don't believe you necessarily need that experience. You just need to surround yourself with that experience. So in the States, it's very easy to surround yourself with such things. You can just go to a dealership and look at nice cars if that's what motivates you. If you like houses, just drive by a neighborhood of crazy houses. So you can feel it without actually living in it in order to get that drive. Because for me, I think it was all about hunger levels. Like when I got to the States, I was like, I'm so hungry to go back to the previous life that I had, that for me, it wasn't about like, do I kind of want it? Like for me, it's like I had to have it because I had it and it was taken away. And in my head, it was like, I deserve this.
I have a question. What was school like in Lebanon? I have a ton of Lebanese friends. Like I feel
Really?
like the majority of my friends. Oh yeah, Massachusetts is filled with them. What was schooling like in Lebanon before you were like that 0 to 14 age?
Yeah, so school in Lebanon was interesting. Let's just say that. When I was very young, I was like, I would say probably top 10, top 20 students in my school, but it's a small school, you know? And then the minute my parents started to get separated, I started to get so busy with other things. And for me, my only escape was playing soccer, right? So I spent all my time doing that. I would skip class to do that. That was like my escape, right? So going from being one of the best students to now literally barely making it, they want to kick me out of school. And I became like a troubled kid, you know? So like I would get in trouble just so that, I don't know, I feel like maybe for my mom to like give me attention, I guess. Which I guess is fucked up, but I mean, I was like 10 years old, so I can't blame a 10-year-old, you know? So, but at least I had soccer. Like for me, that was like my thing, right? So I would say that for me was when I think of my childhood, that's what I think of. I don't really think of like going to class and stuff like that, because for me, that was my escape.
Yeah.
I mean, going from Lebanon to Dubai, that's also a huge shift. Because you're leaving all your friends behind. How was that transition like?
Honestly, I didn't think much of it at the time because in my head, I thought that, oh, it's a 2-hour flight. Like, that's easy. I can come back anytime, you know? So I didn't think about it much. But when I got to, I actually moved to Qatar. And that was my home base. Like, Dubai was just like where my dad had his second office. And I was exposed to that lifestyle over there. But in Qatar, it's funny because in Lebanon, I was like always like the dorky kid, right? I was not like a cool kid or anything like that. And when I came to this new school where nobody knew me, I thought to myself, oh shit, I can just like decide who I am. You know, I can decide that I'm cool. And other people have no option but to say, okay, that he's cool because, well, he carries himself as if he's a cool individual. And that's what I learned, that like perception is like reality. Right. So just like Instagram. Right. So if someone perceives that they have this crazy lifestyle, a lot of people believe it. Right. And there's a lot of individuals we see online that are fake it till you make it, all these things, which I don't blame them. I get it. I did it when I was younger. But it does become a problem when they start taking things away from people that don't have much in order to just feed their lifestyle. Right.
Yep.
So obviously you guys mentioned I have a coaching program in regards to how to grow a marketing company. It's like I literally run 2 marketing companies. We make $650K a month, and I show screenshots literally on the first of every month to keep everybody up to date with my numbers. You know, so as compared to other people, they're just posting the Lambos and the vacations and all that stuff, and then they sell a coaching program and they really don't even have a marketing company. And now it becomes this loop. That's why a lot of people associate education with scam, when really, like, when you think of one side of education, you think of like things like Harvard, Yale, whatever. Nobody looks at these schools and say scam, right? But when you look at people online, they say, hey, I'll teach you how to make your first 10K. Instantly, people associate it with scam. So I guess you can tie it all together as like these lessons start from when you're very young, and you can always like rope them back into what's going on in the world right now.
The fake it till you make it mentality is a very, very dangerous mentality for your mental state. You can really go down a dark, scary path if your persona is one thing and you're presenting yourself to be one thing, but in the back of your mind, your subconscious knows the reality of yourself is not that person. That's a scary path to go down. That's what leads to anxiety. That's what leads to depression. That's what leads to suicides, because people are trying to keep up with this persona that they know that they're actually not. They're living their non-truth. It's such a scary
and if
path.
they never get to that point of actually making it, and then they have to start, like, they can't keep up with it anymore, that's when the danger happens, you know?
And that's when we had a friend of ours who actually committed suicide
oh my God.
a couple months ago. And a lot of it was because he was trying to keep up with this. I mean, you can agree, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
He was trying to keep up with this persona. He had a couple really, 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 really bad business decisions that put him under, and he couldn't physically handle like coming up front and being vulnerable and saying, I made a mistake. I am not this person. So the alternative was taking his life. And it's a huge message to young people. Absolutely. It is. And it happens. And it happens more and more as social media becomes more and more prevalent. I remember before this, you could pay for a blue check mark. People would do anything for a blue check mark. And that chase of finding something that is material, that's not necessarily fills your void or like fills your purpose, is a scary thing to chase. But I don't know. That just kind of triggered that conversation. When I hear people do that, fake it till you make it, I don't like pushing that narrative because it's so fucking dangerous.
Well, setting up with young entrepreneurs, especially nowadays, I think business is super easy. Like just like in a week or a month, they're going to be like loaded and have a ton of money. But it's like then they realize that that's not actually the truth, and then they give up and they quit. So it's like the tough balance.
And the reason why I think that the whole education to scam thing is happening is because it's just there's more scammers than there are real people doing good business. I feel, at least.
Why is that so accurate? Why is that accurate? Yeah. I hear you.
Like,
that's true.
And that's why that correlation happens. So when you see someone show their receipts, like you're doing, it's like, oh, okay, that's valid. Like like someone is validating themselves. It's tough because you're trying not to be like cocky and arrogant, but at the same time you're trying to say, listen, these are my receipts. I am not those other guys. You know, like I feel like it's kind of necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
My receipts, even though $650K a month is a good amount of money for some people, in the game of business is nothing. It's pennies, bro. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Elon Musk was showing his receipts, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, we are technically nothing in the grand scheme of things. I just like to show people that, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is my way of doing it. If you like it, you're more than welcome to come educate yourself on what we're doing. And if you don't like it, there's a million other people that can teach you something else. Please go find someone that is a better mentor for you. Because for me, that's one thing that pushed me forward. Like, the way I found my business partner was actually through IG. So I went on #TampaBusiness and I was like, I need to find a mentor. Everybody keeps talking about find a mentor. But I was just new in the country. I was a college student still. Like, dude, like when you were a college student, how many millionaires did you know? Freaking zero.
Not many. Zero, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, I need to find someone that is already where I want to be. And I looked up #TampaBusiness because I'm located in Tampa on Instagram. And I started going through all these photos and images and people. And I started finding accounts that are like, they seemed like credible, right? Like, I know you talk like poorly on like people chasing that blue check mark, but to me, that's credibility. That to me tells me, okay, like they at least have whatever they were charging back then, like 20 bands to get a blue check. If they can spend 20 bands on something this irrelevant, I can spend that 20K on something more relevant. At least I can learn from them how they made that 20K. So I started hitting up all these people and inviting them for coffee, which I realize now is like a terrible strategy. But nevertheless, like I was inviting people for coffee and meeting up with them. And some people I resonated with, some people I didn't resonate with. Some people I looked at their lifestyles like, I love this lifestyle. I want to be this person. But when I met this person, I don't want to be this person at all. You know, and that's when I realized that like there is so many different paths to get to where you want to go. And that's actually how I found my business partner, Emil, which hopefully you guys can interview later in the future. I literally DM'd him, asked him to meet me for coffee, met me for coffee. 4 years later, we're running multiple businesses together, doing multiple ventures that we don't even post about on social media together. So it's like really cool to see the level of opportunities that you get through credibility. Because at the time, when I was in college, the i8 was my favorite car, which, I mean, I get cars don't mean anything. I get that. But the i8 was my dream car. And the photo that I found on #TampaBusiness was a photo of Emil, my partner, sitting on a gold i8 that was his. And I went on his profile and said digital marketing. And I said to myself, I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I'm in digital marketing. I don't got no gold i8. How did he do it? He definitely knows something I don't. So that's why I think that all these things, all the fluff you see online, like the lifestyle stuff and whatever, I think it's important for one side of the coin. But the other side of the coin, the like some people, like the character side, the people that are shady, I totally agree with you. I think these people should not be doing business if they're not actually doing things. But for me, the other side of the coin, I think, is being transparent and authentic and honestly kind. You know what I mean? Like Like when people hit me up on Instagram, they can't afford like our coaching program or whatever, and they have like one question. It's not like I'm going to be like, no, fuck you, you know? Like, it's like, yeah, I got you, bro. Like if I can send you a voice note that it's going to push you just 1 inch towards like the goal you're trying to get to. Like, I mean, I was in your shoes too. So,
So what was it about when you met ML that, you know, you knew that he wanted to be that you wanted to be his partner? Like when you met him, what was it?
So when I met him for coffee, he was the only individual that wasn't like flaunting their wealth. Like, dude, I hit you up because I saw that you got it. Like, I don't need like more proof that you got it. I don't need like I had a guy like open up his Chase account and like show me. I was like, dude, relax. Like, I get it. Like, yeah. I'm here to see what value you can provide me. I mean, obviously, like I want to provide them value in exchange as well, but he was just asking me about me. He was just asking me about what do I want to do. I was studying pre-med at the time. I was telling him I had crazy dreams back then. I told him I wanted to own a hospital. But he was asking me questions about just me. And that's the thing that intrigued me. And I was like, this dude sat down with me for 45 minutes and didn't say a word about himself. That's the type of business owner I'm trying to be. So
I love that.
I mean, obviously, I get this is a podcast, so I'm supposed to provide value. But if you meet me in real life, I'm usually quiet.
Yeah,
well, that's like a common theme I hear. Like everybody say, like when they meet like the most successful like billionaires and stuff like that, they're sitting in meetings and they really don't say much. They're really just listening, and that's why people like them. And then at the end, I think Jeff Bezos has this rule where he's like, I don't say anything in the beginning of the meeting. I don't say anything until the very end, because he knows if he says something in the beginning, then everybody's going to be like trying to agree with him and be biased towards that. So he just literally sits there and until the end gives his feedback. Therefore, people aren't just like kind of suck up to him, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
100%.
Because it sways the mind without saying. It's like Inception. It plants something.
Yeah, I can learn from that.
To pursue a bias. That's pretty interesting. So let's go back. So you said I saw that you even in your bio when you sent it to us, you did some pre-med. So originally you wanted to be what, a doctor?
Correct. Yes. So my fiance, who was my girlfriend at the time, I actually met her in school. She's actually right about to finish and become a doctor. So it's like I'm living that life vicariously through her, which is pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, obviously as a foreign family, you get to be a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. And I actually liked medicine. I really did. But during my junior year of college, I started to accumulate a lot of debt because I didn't have the time to get a job. And even when I did get a job, it was like being a server and it's terrible wage. Like I would literally work for 8 hours and I would have one table walk out on me right before my shift ends. And that eats up my entire income for that whole time. So I literally worked an 8-hour shift for $5. So I was like, I can't do this. This is not a smart way to invest my time. Even if it's not a lot, like I'm cool with minimum wage at the time, you know, like I was cool with that, but I couldn't even get a job for minimum wage, which was like the worst part. So I didn't become a business owner because I wanted to be a business owner my whole life. Like I wanted to be a doctor, genuinely. I became a business owner because I had no choice. All my credit cards were maxed out and I was like, I need to figure it out, you know? So that pushed me to start my own businesses. I mean, my credit cards, granted, got maxed out because I was trying to drop ship and I was funding my own advertising with my own credit cards and it wasn't being successful. But nevertheless, that's when I figured out and I learned about service-based businesses. Because my credit cards were maxed out and my rent was due in 10 days, I sat down on my girlfriend's couch and I was like, I have 10 days to make money and I have no money to play with. So what the fuck can I do? And I was like, well, let me just sell the one thing that I know how to do, which is run ads, right? Like I knew how to run the ads right, but my businesses were not successful because I was not a good business owner. So I was like, why don't I find like a good business owner and I can run their ads for them?
How did you learn how to do ads?
Through YouTube University, and me spending my own money on my failed dropshipping stores. So the best course I've ever taken, spending my own money.
What age is this? Like what age are we talking when you're doing this?
This is age of, I believe, this is 19 years old. No, this is 20 years old.
So 19, 20, what school did you go to?
USF here in Tampa.
So you're at USF, 19, 20 years old. You started doing drop shipping. You started working on your own. You're in pre-med. And then you had some failures. You found out that you're good at doing ads. And then what's the next step that happens there?
So the next step is like, it's that story of my rent being due. It really was that shift for me because I always thought that dropshipping was the way for me. I always thought that selling products online was the thing that is going to make me successful. So when all my cards were maxed out and I had nothing but my back towards the wall and I had to push through by selling a service, I sat down on my girlfriend's couch. It was literally my exam week. And I was like, do I want to be a doctor and do I want to be successful or do I want to pay my rent? So I decided that paying my rent is a more urgent problem. I didn't study for my exams at all. I sat down with my laptop. I went on Google. I literally Googled businesses near me. Like I remember it like to today, like the most random search, not even like a niche, like just straight businesses near me. And I started dialing them one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And I told my girl, I was like, listen, like I'm going to sit here until someone gives me a meeting. I don't give a fuck. Like, don't talk to me. I'm not eating. I'm not doing shit. I'm not taking no breaks. Like, this was the first time that I worked without looking at the clock. Like, genuinely. So I sat down. I was just like dialing. And then when one person actually answered the phone and said, I spend $100,000 a month on Facebook. What do you know that I don't? And like, that took me back because I was like, that's a damn good question because I've never seen 100K. What do I know that he doesn't? And then I told him something very simple, honestly. But the fact that I challenged him, I think he liked it. I told him, do you run lookalike audiences? Because it seems that you're not. I can't even see whether or not he's running lookalike audiences. You know what I mean? Because I can't see his back end. But the fact that I challenged him, I was like, this guy's a business owner. He's not a media buyer or marketer or whatever. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. So he invited me to his business, and bro, you should have seen the way I dressed. Terrible. Like my tie was one color, my shirt was another color, my jacket was a different color, my pants were a completely different color. Like it literally, if you looked at me, you could smell beginner. And anyways, I walked in, I had my presentation printed out on A4 papers that I printed out at my school library, and I showed him what I can do for him, and he said, okay. He walked away. Came back with his checkbook, gave me $1,000 on a check. He said, you come back here, you get one of these every 2 weeks for the next 3 months. Show me what you can do. And even though I sucked at sales, I think that the universe like blessed me with this one because it showed me that it's possible. Like even on my way out of the store, I FaceTime my dad and I show him the check and he's like, nah, that shit's gonna bounce. So like everything was like stacked against me.
Thanks for the confidence.
Yeah, exactly. We make fun of that stuff all the time between us internally, but that's when I was like, okay, so this is what I got to do. I just got to keep doing what I just did infinite times because that was the first time in my life that I got paid without having to lose money. So all I wasted was my time on the couch. I was like, bro, that's a cheap price to pay for 2 bands a month, you know? So,
and what made the price? Like because that's another big thing with business is, you know, how do you price yourself out? You know, if I'm a beginner, what do I charge? Is it retainer? Is it, you know, per spend? You know, is there a percentage on spend? There's so many different ways to skin the cat. What made you say, okay, 1,000 every 2 weeks, or did he name that price?
So I named that price, and it's simply because I saw other people were charging that. I had no idea how to price at the time. And I genuinely think that, yes, there's so many different price models, but the problem is that most people, all they do is just listen to other people. They don't realize that in order to figure out what the true good price for you is, you need to be in your client's shoes, looking at your business and seeing what it would be worth. I've got clients that pay me $10K a month, and I've got clients that pay me $3K a month for the same exact service, except the people that pay $10K, I make them 100x what they're giving me because they're a much bigger business. So to them, $10K is worth it. They're like, if I pay him at least, like he'll give attention to our account. You know what I'm saying? Now it's true. Yes, I have different media buyers within our company working with these different clients, but it's literally the same service. So why is the 10K client also, keep in mind, like the people who are paying 10K are 10 times happier than the people paying 3K, even though it's the same service. So it always comes back down. Yeah, it always comes back down to who you're talking to and how efficient are you at solving their pain. A business that makes a lot more revenue has a lot more pain to losing revenue. A small business, whether they make an extra 1-2K a month, it's not going to make the biggest difference for them. But a big business, 1-2%, that's game changing. right? And I'll give you a story about one of my clients. So a lot of the people online and in the marketing space, they say like double your revenue in the next 180 days or 90 days or whatever, right? And that used to be a terminology that I used until like this one prospect of mine said this to me, and they're $1 billion company. They're huge, publicly traded. I can't drop their name, but they're a huge company. And he said to me, he said, my man, I'll pay you 3 times your fee if you increase my revenue by 2%. And I was like, what the fuck? He said, I don't want 2x. I want 2%. So to me, that hit me like a train. I was like, my God. My price is not the problem. Yeah, my price is not the problem. My service is not the problem. Who I'm talking to is the problem.
I see.
And that's where I expanded. Yeah, that's where I expanded my business into the realm of like working with more elite businesses. Now I have still a small business department because honestly, I love helping smaller businesses. It's like my passion. But
what type of businesses are those? Are those clients that you like that they have good margins on it, or like it's just about high revenue? Like what industries do you look for?
So the biggest businesses that we work with, technically, they don't really care that much about profit, to be honest with you. All they care about is increasing their client base to eventually one day sell to a VC or whatever it may be. But I like my personal businesses to be high profit margin. So right now, I like to maintain about 40-45% margin minimum. And if I want to do like a certain venture or whatever it may be, it has to make sense within that margin. I'm not dipping into, because I have like a golden rule, like I cannot spend this. So
are those, when you're talking about the higher margin businesses, are you talking more like info product businesses and coaching businesses that you're working with?
Those are good. Yeah, those are really good. There's a lot of other businesses like on the tech side, software as a service. A lot of these are very high margin. But info is probably the one that most people go to because they're like, yeah, it's a course, you film it once, like that's it. The margin's really good. But I don't believe that these businesses, yes, it's going to be a ginormous industry. Yes, there's a lot of education platforms that make multiple millions a year. But my goal right now is to ascend into the businesses that are doing 10 figures, 11 figures, whatever it may be, because those are the type of clientele that I want to work with, because I want to remain a boutique agency. I don't want to streamline. I mean, I could easily charge less, hire a bunch more people, take a smaller margin, and accept 1 million more clients. But I want to be a white glove boutique agency. I don't want to be your Burger King agency. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so because there's so many agencies, by the way, there's so many that we've dealt with and wasted money on. It's a needle in a haystack to try to find a very good agency compared to like the other ones that are shit. Where in your journey of when you started was like your aha moment of like, wow, I'm onto something really great, or a moment that was like, wow, I'm ready to scale? Where in the time of your business did that happen?
I don't believe there is such thing as an aha moment. For me, that I learned about the 1% rule. That's the one thing that changed everything for me. So obviously you guys know, you improve something by 1% every day. Over 365 days, you're going to be significantly ahead. So like literally I would come to the office and I'll be like, this was my mission. Like this is like literally my to-do was like one thing. And I used to have 2 quotes written on my screen. Like I made a background for my laptop on Canva, and I wrote, don't be a slave to your mood, because that was a big problem for me. If I wanted to work, then I would work. If I didn't want to work, I didn't work. So don't be a slave to your mood, and 1% better every day. That's it. I'll come to the office. I'm not a slave to my mood, and my goal is to make one thing better by 1%. My website, 1% better. My sales process, 1% better. My presentation, 1% better. My service delivery, 1% better. My client fulfillment, 1% better. Whatever it may be, just 1% better. And then you're going to look back 6 months later and you're going to be like, aha, yeah, that shit worked. You know, so that's the aha moment. There is no like one moment that changed everything.
I like that a lot.
It's a turtle versus the hare. You know, everyone's trying to 10%, 20% one day, 1 week. It's like, no, if you do that 1% every day, slowly but surely, don't rush it, be patient, and kind of be patient, but also, you know, hit it when the fire's hot. That makes sense. The other thing I'm curious about in an agency setting is it sounds like you were doing your own ad buying at first. Like you were doing the management of each client. When was the time that you were like, okay, I need to hire someone else and start training that person or find someone with experience to then offload some of these accounts?
Yeah, so it's when I realized I'm better at sales than fulfillment. I was really good at fulfillment, but I was like pretty savage at sales. Like a lot of times, like we would be selling something, and like let's say at the time we were pricing our stuff as like 2K. I would randomly just pitch 3K, and my partner would be like, "What the fuck? Why'd you just pitch 3K? Just made it way harder to close this deal." And then they would close, and I was like, "Fuck it, I think my calling is sales." So, I think we were doing about 40K a month at the time. I think like right around 35, 40K a month. I brought on my first media buyer. It was my first hire ever. Funny enough, he still works with us today, 4 years later. So that tells you a little bit about company culture. So he's seen the entire journey. After that, I moved into sales. I was able to easily scale to 65K a month, but I was stuck at 65K for, I think it was 8 months. That was my plateau. So it was like, no matter how hard I sold and no matter how good my closes rate was and no matter anything else, I would always end up with that 65K a month. So that was like that plateau for me. And for me, the thing that broke me out of that plateau was creating my unique mechanism and start charging absurd prices. So I knew that I could make people more money, even though I charged a lot. I just stacked so many services with my package that I was like, okay, if someone gets this, I know it's expensive, but I'm going to make them their money back. For sure. Because now I'm managing the entire ecosystem. I'm not just depending on their other guy who built their funnel 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So,
I see. So you created a whole system. So it's like, all right, I'm not just running your ads. I need to be able to handle your landing pages, your follow-up process, your I don't know, all that stuff that goes with it.
That is such a big deal. Me and Costa talk about this literally daily, because what happens is you can do media buying and bring as much traffic as you possibly can bring to a website or leads or all this stuff. But if the company is not responsible or have the know-how to fulfill those leads or respond right away or good follow-up or good automation or good conversion rate on your website, then you as the ad buyer in the agency will have a poor reputation, but it's not you. That's the difference. It's not you, it's the company. So I think that was a great move. You pretty much controlled your own destiny with your own success with that move, and you brought more value to the customers.
Correct. So I agree with you. It's not the media buyer, it's the company's fault. But in turn, it's the media buyer's fault because they sold them on services that will not actually solve their problem. So I actually thought that, like literally the minute we did that, the very next month was my first 100K month. I was like, fuck this 70K, bro, 65K. I've been trying to break this for 8 months. And I instantly jumped to 100. I knew that there was something special there.
Hell yeah.
It sounds like you focus your attention on the client success rather than just trying to get more accounts, right? Because once you started getting success for the clients, all of a sudden now you can charge more. You're having more success, more retention with your clients, and you can start stacking people because you're doing right by them by giving them the full suite.
I have a question too. How did you, and I'm sure other people are thinking this too, is how did you get more clients? Because you went from 65 to 100. So a lot of pain points in business owners is, how do I get more clients? Is it through ad buying? Is it through referrals? Is it through influencer marketing, whatever it is? How did you even have the opportunity to sell more people? Where is the client flow coming from?
Great question. So at the time, because at the time I didn't know how to run ads for my own company. So I was killing it for clients, but like when it came down to running ads for my own company, I'm like, bro, all these leads suck. Like none of these people are legit business owners. None of them have money. And then I came to learn that the business owners are the most expensive individual to get in touch with online, right? That as well as investors. So at the time, I was going very heavy on my SEO, and I was getting a lot of leads through Google Organic. I was still trying to run ads. Like I would still close a deal here and there from the ads, but it was never consistent. So at the time, I actually just reached back out to all the good appointments I had with my new offer. So I was like, I don't have a ton of money to spend on ads. I don't have a ton of time to wait on SEO. So let me just go hit up people that I quoted at 2K, 3K, whatever it may be, and quote them at 23K, right? And believe it or not, at the time I was still vibe checking the price. So I booked 2 calls. I will never remember this, and I will never forget this. And you can even ask Ra, my content creator, because at the time he wanted to learn how to sell, and he put his desk in my office just to listen to me on my calls. Like, I literally told him, he asked me if he can move into my office. I said, sure. I came in the next day. It looked like I was his assistant, bro. He put a fat desk in my office. But point is, I put 2 meetings back to back on the calendar, and I've never quoted, by the way, at this price in my life. I've never even came even close. Like, the most I quoted before this was like 4K. And I quote the first guy 12K. Signs up, no objections. Signs the contract, pays the invoice. Cash collected, full payment. I was like, fuck, that shit was cool. I dap up my partner. I'm like, but I have another meeting, bro. I'm going to try to quote this guy, same thing, see if he goes for it. Same thing. 30 minutes later, this guy pays 12K again. So I was like, damn, that's crazy. I've been having trouble closing 3-4K deals, and I closed 2 back-to-back. I've never closed 2 back-to-back calls in my life, yet alone they were at 12K a piece. So everybody in the office was confused because they thought there was 1 close for 12K. But no, there was 2. And that's when I realized that, okay, these people simply just want a solution. Because when I was coming to them and I was telling them how good our media buying was, they had all these things that they weren't telling me were true objections in their head of, oh, I don't know if I can handle the leads. I don't know if my funnel is good enough. I don't know if this is good enough. I don't know if my automations are set up correctly. I don't know if my salespeople are set up correctly. I don't know if they have the right OKRs, KPIs, whatever it may be. And when I gave them the full system, the full ecosystem, to where I literally would position it like this. I was like, listen, the business is 3 pillars. There's marketing, sales, and operations. Okay? I'll take care of 1 pillar. You take care of the other 2. I'll literally become your CMO. We'll run your whole marketing department. And that's why people were buying. Is because they were like, that's like a one-stop shop. It's just my solution, the thing that I was looking for.
The other thing too is that for that business owner thinks, okay, I don't have to hire, a customer service person to handle this. I don't have to hire this appointment setter to, whatever. I don't have to hire this salesperson. They're like, okay, they're just gonna, it's almost like, okay, they're just gonna handle that whole thing. Yeah. And I don't have to endure the burden of all the other stuff that comes through.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's like, they weren't telling you the objection, that they were concerned that, yeah, we can bring leads in, but what do I do with them from there? Like, I don't have everything else set up to maximize the leads. And you figure that out without them, telling you, which is a hell of a move. I love that.
Also knowing your avatar.
Yeah. To add on top of to what you guys are saying, like, the people who can pay you 12K right off the rip, and you're actually doing a solid service for them to where they're actually going to make such a good ROI. Who do you think are the friends of the people who are spending 12K just like that? So I just went back to them. Yeah, just went so hard on referrals, and that's how we scaled. You know what I mean? And after that, from the referrals, it became strategic partnerships and XYZ. I mean, literally, it took me 2.5 years to get to 100K a month. It took me 6 months to get to 600K a month.
Wow!
Like literally 2.5 years and then 6 months. So it's like wild.
I feel like that's a common thing though. It takes like 3-4 years to like push through this certain barrier, and then once you figure it out, it's like boom. It's like they always say like the first 0 to 10 million is the hardest, right? Or 0 to 5.
0 to 1, bro.
Yeah, 0 to 1, and then you go from like 1 to 5, and then you go from 5 to 10, and then it's like 10 to 20 is almost easier than it was. Yeah. 0 to 1.
So operationally, right? Like, so now you're offering all these other services. So now what do you need? Copywriters, you need people to build out your funnels, you need, people to build out your text automation. So at that point, you have to have your operation set up for that, right?
Correct. So it does like a transition. It's no longer an SMMA. Now it's a real marketing company, right? So, and that's the difference is like, we were actually talking about this right before the podcast started, is people living the laptop lifestyle in Bali on their laptop. Bro, you ain't working. You're not building a real company. I can promise you there is not a human being on the planet that will buy you because they're buying you, and you're not a good business owner because you're literally across the planet when you should be in your client's time zone, catering to their needs, growing your company. And the thing is that the laptop lifestyle, if people like that, if they're happy with 20, 30, 40K a month, and they can go use their Amex points and on hotels and whatever it may be, like to each their own, But I believe in building a legitimate company. Like, you have no idea how many emails I have to like delete of people trying to buy us every day. To where it's like, it's annoying as fuck. So
really,
yeah, and it's because we're actually building something that these bigger companies want at this stage, because to them where we are is so small, right? But to them where we are is already past the difficult part of getting to where we are, because now from where we are to the next stage is so much easier. Very simply what you were just saying, the first million is the hardest million.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what is your like? So what do you have like for like infrastructure? Like you have copywriters, people doing text automation. Like that's not hard to recruit for. So we started doing. We're building out our own marketing team in house. And we're looking for people who are good at SEO. We're looking for copywriters, people who know how to do that. It's not easy to find people to work for you to do that, because a lot of people they do their own thing, and it's just they want to sell you per account. Not to just come work for you. So we've found that difficult. So any tips you can give there?
Yeah. So because you're talking to the wrong avatar at the same time, because like if you're top 1% in the world at what you do, you're not going to work for someone else. That is fact. Right. So if you're talking to the best of the best of the best of the SEO people and the copywriters and whatever, they're likely never going to work with you. But if you can get someone that is top 10%, and train them to be in this 1%. And while you're training them, you put them through like the experience of being around you and seeing the vision and where you're going to go and their development within your company and creating that like corporate structure of hierarchy, right? They want to be the one who gets that promotion. Like I used to think about this all the time. It's like success leaves clues. And I can't stress this enough. Like in movies, like, how there's two people like fighting for the promotion and then they're like super nice in front of the boss and then behind the boss's back they're like battling it out.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I was like, I need this in my company, right? I need the ability to have the promotion, finances aside. Sure, the raise is nice. Nobody's gonna love you because of the raise. They're gonna love you because of the power. They're gonna love you because of the vision. They're gonna love you because of where you're going, right? And that's what I wanted to create. I wanted to create that ecosystem internally to where people want to be head of department. They want to get that promotion. Yes, the raise is nice, but it's for all the other benefits that they get. You can give people raises in many different ways other than just giving them more money. You can give them more vacation time. You can give them more access to you as a business owner. Like the people that we promote into like a higher level, when they get to sit down with me, my partner, on internal meetings where the rest of the team doesn't get to join, bro, they feel special. They feel part of something bigger. And that to me is like what I'm trying to build, because you're right. Getting copywriters that are in the top 1% is so easy, because you can just like Google copywriting services and you can get the best of the best. But then 90% of the terrible ones will apply for your job. So you want to find just that one person that is in that top 10% and train them to be in that 1%. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. No, it does. It's like the thing with marketing is that there's so many pillars, right? There's like email automation is like one thing. Google ad buying is another thing. SEO is another thing. And then like Facebook ad buying is another, right? Mm-hmm. So when you started, like, did you have to learn all those things and then you hired people and trained them underneath you? Or did you bring somebody in who, was already an expert at, Google, but you're the Facebook guy, or you're the, the ad buying guy? Like, how did you start there?
Yeah, so I'm proficient at all of those, like everything, including TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, LinkedIn, even the things even App Store ads, things like people don't even talk about, right? So I'm proficient at all of these. I bring in people who are 80% and I like to train them, because I believe, like, I do believe in hiring someone who's better than you. But when you're already in the 1% of the best people in the world at what you do, it's very hard to find someone that is better than you. That's why I hire for my weaknesses. I don't hire for my strengths, right? I train with my strengths, because most business owners, they're not media buying specialists, right? I am. And that's why I had to find my own path within my hiring process. So like for me, I was hiring for operations. Bro, operations bore the shit out of me. I don't want to do any operations. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I have people for operations. When it comes to sales, I love sales, right? Like, actually, that was the hardest thing for me to let go of. I still sell when someone wants, like when a friend of mine or a referral that knows me personally wants to work with us. But that was the part that was very hard for me to let go of because I love selling. It's my favorite euphoric feeling when someone is paying you in full what you used to make in a year. Like, that to me is like unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the fulfillment side, the actual marketing side, that's the part that I am training. The only part of marketing that I would say I'm not very proficient in is SEO. But everything else, like, I'll smash anybody, no biggie.
How do you feel about U.S. talent versus offshore talent? Because obviously offshore talent, everyone knows, is far cheaper, more accessible, maybe harder working. But how do you feel about the actual skill set talent-wise?
What a great question, honestly. I tried both. I pride myself that my whole team is in-house, and not just in the U.S., but also local to me. So everybody comes to the office. Correct.
Yeah, that's nice.
I was listening to Sam Ovens, actually, who's like super popular at school, and he was talking about that like same point yesterday. He's like, overseas hires. He was saying like, if you go overseas and you do like where everybody else is going, the same pool that everybody else is going, you have no like strategic advantage over anybody else doing that. Versus like Christian, I think he's saying with like the in-house team, it's like that's his advantage as a company. Is like he has people in-house training them to do it this way. Nobody can compete with him on like his own personal team, but anybody can go like recruit somebody in wherever to go do it. But I guess there's probably stages to that though.
Right, because the issue, like the low-hanging fruit, and like almost like the devil in this situation of the angel and the devil kind of telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. You're talking about you can find a skill set guy who may have the same skill set in the U.S. in, let's just say, Brazil, Colombia, Philippines, whatever, for $2,000 a month, and the person in the U.S. you have to pay $6,000 a month, or $7,000 or $5,000, and you have to give them way more attention, way more training. They ask for days off. They care about their vacations or work-life balance, blah 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 blah. So that's what's so tough. It's like, damn, that inkling of like, shit, I could just go try to find somebody overseas, cut that cost in half, hire 3 of them overseas for the cost of 1 of them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you some sauce when it comes to this, bro. So I agree. You're not going to be able to price match. That is a fact. But what you can do is you can build incentives and gamify working for you. So, but I'll give you an example. So rather than giving someone $6,000, right? You can give them $3,000, right? Where someone overseas would be, let's say, $1,500. So you still can't price match, but you'll give them $3,000 and you'll give them a bonus structure based on their churn, right? So in the media buying side, the thing that is the most important is how long do you retain your clients? So if someone's churn on average is, for example, 3 months, their bonus structure allows them to get X. If their churn is, for example, 8 months, right? They're making now $8,000 a month, right? They're making more than what they would have gotten, right? And I actually just brought on a customer success manager. This is the first time I hire an employee whose entire job is to just lower churn. That's it. Just give my clients better experience. I'm already crushing it on the media buying side. I'm already crushing it on the lead funnels and whatever. Just make the clients feel special. That's literally his job. And he rejected an offer for more money to come work with us because his bonus structure is going to allow him to make more than the other job, even though the base with us is less than the other job. So like that's actually like some game. I would say that if you apply that, not only will they work harder to hit their KPIs, but they will also like fall in love with the game. Like you as a business owner, you fall in love with the game. Yeah.
I guess it depends on your goal too. Because if he's, as Christian's saying, he's trying to build a real business that somebody's probably going to buy if he wants to sell at some point. And if you have, like, look at the valuation difference. If his team's like local to Tampa, like all the here, who's going to buy that? They're going to buy that business or the business that's like the talent's all overseas. They have no control over it.
That's true.
No, it's a solid point. It's a solid point. Yeah, the gamifying is like everyone wants to play the game, right? Everyone likes to gamble a little bit. Everyone likes to kind of, I could make.
Well, he bet that person.
That's
you're seeing if that person's betting on themselves, like they're confident in what they can do. That's why they took that job. So now, if somebody signs up for your coaching program, where someone wants to start a marketing agency, are you helping them? Like, are you teaching them this type of tip? You know, like how to how to start from scratch, like how to build a team, how to do everything. Is that what somebody gets when they work with you there?
Yes, but my coaching program is actually invite only. So like it's like application basis. So like it's not like gonna be like a $2 million a month business. Like my goal with that is not to build a savage coaching business. Yes, I'm gonna build a sick coaching business, absolutely, because I love building cool businesses. But my whole purpose of this coaching program is finding future business partners. So when they're applying, my qualification is not, do you have the money to pay me? I don't give a fuck about your money. It's not gonna make a dent in my income. I give a fuck about finding someone that is willing to risk that money, one, but two, believes in themselves enough to make it work, right? And I need to also see that they believe in themselves, because once they start doing well, I'm going to start partnering with them. I want to be able to acquire businesses automatically without having, because they already trust me. You know, they want to do a deal with me because I coach them to get to where they are. That's why I have a coaching business. As compared to all these other people, bro, I literally filmed the course just so that I could multiply my time without saying the same shit. I don't care about the course at all.
That's actually fucking genius. So you're starting a coaching program not to be like, I'm gonna have the biggest, baddest coaching program ever. You're looking at the coaching business as a
farm system.
M&A system where you're gonna train these guys and then you're gonna take over their business. That's,
so I learned this. I
learned
learned this from soccer. Actually, there's a lot of the biggest clubs in the world. They have smaller clubs that not many people know are owned by the bigger club, and they just train the players, and then these players are automatically incentivized to go to that bigger club. So that's literally what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And when was it? Because again, that's a secondary business that got started. When did that start? And so you just mentioned why, but so were you saying, okay, did you see a void of like, well, there's a bunch of agencies that are not doing the right thing, and I know what the right thing is, so I'm going to provide that to the community? Or where did the inspiration come from, and two, what was the action items to get that done?
So I'll break that down. So I thought to myself, okay, I grew my company. I was doing about 120K a month at the time. And I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I was able to cross 100K. Do I think I can teach someone else to cross 100K? I'm not sure yet. So I decided to start a second marketing company. Okay. And literally that company did $250,000 in its first month. Swear to God, this is all documented. Okay. So I went from 0 to 250K in the first month in monthly recurring revenue. This is not sales. This is not one-time purchases. Okay. And that company scaled to about 500K a month now. So I thought to myself, I was like, whoa, like the fact that I built a company that overgrew, like it grew bigger than my main company as a brand new company, it taught me about the fact that my main company actually had leaks in its foundation. It taught me about the truth of how you build a business that is a good business, that is a sustainable business, that is a scalable business, right? And when I saw that I was able to do it twice for myself, I thought to myself that I would be doing a disservice to other people if I didn't show this to them. A lot of people say, oh, will you be creating competition for yourself? My guy, I want to buy the competition. That's the whole point, you know? So that's why I believe that I want to coach people to build a business better than mine, right? So that I can come in and just scale from there. Even if they don't want to sell me 100% of their company, even if it's just partnering up, at least it opens up deal flow that is favored to my position. I literally have a dude, you're talking about people that are overseas. I had a dude literally fly in from overseas, from Guatemala, right? Coming, he was doing 3K a month. This was 45 days ago-ish, or 50 days ago, whatever. He's doing 20K a month now. And he got his first US client. To him, that's game changing. Imagine making 20K a month in Guatemala, bro. You're fucking balling.
That's like 100K a month. That's like 150,000.
That's
right?
awesome.
So that's what I want. I want to be able to partner with these individuals because right now my next stage is, okay, you know how to make good money now. You know how to sell. Fine. Now let me see if your team can sustain this level of business. And now if they can, now we can explore the conversation further. Because now you cross the hurdle of, do you know how to sell? Do you know how to set your business up to be attractive enough for someone to raise their hand and say, I'm interested? Now, can you handle the heat? Can you handle the business? And then from there, obviously expand.
Yeah, to me, agencies the way I judge an agency is the longevity of each client. Because if you're running their marketing and you're doing a good job, you're not letting go. Like as a business owner, you're not firing that agency, and you're going to work with them for however long you can afford it. So because I feel like anyone can churn and burn clients. Anyone can have a client for 2 months, and that just means you're good at selling. That means you're good at the acquisition part. That's fine. But the value comes from the longevity of the client. So if you say that your average client stays on for 2 or 3 years or 4 years, I don't know what the actual averages are. That's what me as another business owner, I would judge based off that. Like, whoa.
100%.
Because that's, again, you're providing enough value for that person that they don't want to let them go. Same thing for an employee, really.
Yeah.
So right now, our average time that a client stays with us is actually rising, because keep in mind that our business is actually about 4 years old. So the first 2 years, terrible. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it's about 10 months now. And based on my projections, it's looking to be surpassing the 1 year mark by the end of this year. Because the thing is believe it or not, what you said is not 100% true. I've taken businesses from $50K a month to $500K a month, and they fire us. And I'm like, what? Okay, that's what I'm saying.
What?
I'm being serious. And this has happened. This is one example, but this has happened multiple times where we scale a business, and then they think to themselves, oh, we're paying this agency a lot of money. Let me take it in-house. And then when they come back,
that's a good point.
Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons for why people would cancel an agency, but I'll tell you one thing. Nobody's going to work with you forever, because they're eventually going to think they're smarter than you, no matter what you do. So I would say, yes, I have clients that have been with me 2 years. Yes, I have clients that have been with me 3 years, but my average is 10 months, because the people that are sticking with us 3 years, right, is not the average business owner. It's the business owner that is thinking way bigger. And by talking to business owners all day, every day, I realize that a lot of them are really not that intelligent. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people can, by mistake, get to 10K a month, 20K a month.
Oh, yeah.
But the people who are doing multiple millions a year, they are a different type of human.
I just want to backtrack a sec too. What does, like, say you take on a client, what does your service delivery? I know you're different now. Before you used to just do the media buying, but now you've expanded to more of a marketing company. What does the service delivery look like for a typical client?
So, first thing we do, so we have like a 6 months game plan that we put them through. Okay. So the first thing we like to focus on is foundational elements, your funnel. We still run ads month one, but we run ads just to test your sales process and see how you do on the sales side. And then we dive into your automations, and then we dive into your sales process. And then from there, after everything is pretty dialed in, then we go very hard on the creative side of the ads. And then from the creative side of the ads, obviously a lot of testing happening. We find winners. We classify ads as one of 4 categories. We say a bad ad, which if the team did a bad ad, then that's a problem of my team, right? Which we don't see many of those. But if ever I grade an ad as bad, that means the team that did it is not on my good side, right? So second thing is a normal ad. A normal ad generates normal results, right? Not good results, but you didn't lose money. You just kind of like break even ads. Good ad is one that generates good results, but for a short period of time. It means the shelf life is short, right? So like you run it for a month and a half, it crushes it, but then instantly the results are terrible, right? And then there is the fourth type, which is my favorite, which is a super winner. My team's goal is to collect as many winners and super winners as possible, because the super winners we can run evergreen, and the winners we can turn off and back on, right? Like we have a client that has 2 winners with us that are 3-month cycles, and we turn this batch on, and by the end of the 3 months it's dying out, we turn it off and turn on the other batch, and we do this cycle twice a year, right? And they crush it. So go ahead.
And when you take on a client, specifically when you're breaking down an ad, are you running with their offer? Or are you coming in and saying, hey, client, like we have a proven offer that works for your business. This is what we need to run to see certain results.
It's a combination of both, because a lot of times people say, oh, you just got to restructure your offer right away. When the reality of things, this business owner is used to selling that offer. So I'm very careful at instantly changing their offer. if their offer sucks, I will tell them straight up before I even convert them as a client that, listen, this is something we need to work on. And typically the people you want to work with, they already have their offer dialed in. But if they don't, then you can help them.
Gotcha.
Because the other thing you mentioned too is creative. Because again, we do well over 6 figures a month in our ads alone. And again, it's creative is really important too. Because I can imagine as an agency owner, when you work with a new client, it's up to them a lot of the time to get the creative for you to run. And if they just give you and provide you shit creative and they have an arsenal of just bullshit creative that doesn't convert, you know, kind of it's tough. You're in a standstill, right? I'm sure you deal with that quite a bit.
I used to, not anymore. Funny enough, like, you know how I said that my whole purpose of coaching is to get business partners? I actually tested that before we launched Agency Blueprint or whatever, with someone that was DMing us on Instagram. He's like, hey, I want to meet you guys, whatever. So we're like, all right, come to the office. He was doing content at the time, and honestly, fucking savage, bro. The best content I have ever seen in my life. He like literally, there's like $300K worth of equipment at my office worth of his stuff alone. So it was the individual that moved into my office I was talking about a little bit earlier, and he was doing about 3 to 5K a month at the time. Sometimes he'd close a deal a month where it's like it was a wedding and he'd make a little bit more, but nevertheless, he was making about 5K a month. And within 6 months of me coaching him, he was doing about 50, 60K a month. And I didn't actually charge him for coaching. I said, I just want you to do our content. And I want you to be my go-to guy whenever I want my clients to get content done. So most of my clients are his clients too. So like they just either fly in, or if they're local, they come in. And he's actually flown to our clients, shot the content there. We do a lot of content internally, even though technically it's not my company. It's my student's company, who's now become a very good friend of mine. He's literally one of my groomsmen. So I like, he really solved that pain for me. I think that when you have good content, it takes a lot of work off of the media buyer's back.
Yeah, that was kind of like my point. Because again, I think we have 6 companies now ish, and we've always had pain points in each part of our marketing, but our content has always been solid throughout. And I feel like that's always been, again, like for us, at least it's like, okay, at least we know we have good content. Now it's to figure out the other stuff. But a lot of other companies probably have the opposite pain. It's like, okay, they know what to do, I guess, but they can't create the content. I feel like with old school service-based businesses, like where the business owner, like a roofer or a granite company, or like these older 50, 60-year-old boomer owned companies, they like can't wrap their head around creatives, you know, like they're just so used to referrals. But that's why, in my opinion, there's so much opportunity in those businesses, because they're boomer owned and they don't know marketing. So if a marketing company like you comes in and partners with them, not even do a deal with them, partner with them, you could scale their business 4 or 5x, because they've never even touched the surface of what they're capable of doing, because they've never really touched the surface of marketing.
100%. I mean, I totally agree with that. I have a lot of clients that are like 9-figure individuals that come to me with these business ideas, and they know that I know how to build the marketing department, and they know that they know how to hire people. So they literally come to me with business ideas, and they're like, hey, listen, can we launch these 3 businesses this month? And I'm like, I got you. You know, what do you need? Website, content, ads, done. You know, like.
Yeah, we get so many people. I mean, I talked to a guy this morning who wants to partner with us because they know that we have an idea of how to market. We've scaled, 2 different companies to 8 figures, and they are the operator. They just need the fuel. They can't wrap their head around to do the marketing end. So I feel like it's a perfect marriage: the operator and then the marketer to scale, almost like the scaling marketer.
I got a question 100%. About the creative. Back to the creative. So is there any common denominator that you know that's working like that, like winner ads, like successful creative? Is it like professionally shot videos? Is it like on your cell phone, or like what do you see working right now in today's day and age?
I find that lower quality content, like iPhone shot content, will get you a lower CPM. It will get you more clicks. It will get you more leads, but the quality of the lead is not matched up with high quality content. So with high quality content, you get less leads, but when you do get leads, they're better quality. Now, there is a way to merge both. which I really like to do. It's actually one of my secret sauces that we run all the time. It's you'll find a viral TikTok or a viral reel that is shot on an iPhone, and you take 4 seconds of that reel, and the best 4 seconds of that reel, like the hook, and then instantly you do transition into high quality content. It creates that pop, right? And you can dive into your offer. So for example, I have a client that does life insurance, and there's a video of this girl on TikTok with her phone, and she's talking about, what is this hype about all this life insurance, whatever. That video went viral, right? Super viral. So we took that first clip from that video and we transitioned it into him saying, let me tell you exactly how this works. And there's a whiteboard and he breaks it down like the Hormozy style. Bro, that ad slams. You know what I mean? So there's a way to marry both, if you will.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's almost like a stitch.
Yeah.
Correct.
I like that idea.
Avi does a good job at that.
Yeah, they do.
They'll take like that and they'll combine it with like their existing B-roll and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're in business for longer, like one of our companies been around for 7-8 years, we have so much content, like thousands and thousands of professionals and raws. So we can always mix and play. You don't have to reshoot all this stuff. You can kind of reuse our old arsenal clips.
Well, I like that idea about finding, viral, you find viral videos that are going and then stitching them together. So people are watching it and quickly before, then boom, you just transition into your thing. I friggin' love that. Genius.
People do that with sounds too. Like, the viral sounds. Let's try to find those viral sounds that last like literally 72 hours before they go irrelevant. And they just go super hard at it.
Yeah, those are great. There's a lot of this company Golden Hippo who does like Gundry MD and like those like certain like skincare brands. Like they'll take like the craziest like weird looking first 3 seconds of like stomach cramps or like barbed wire over that, and it like immediately switches to like the doctor like giving a full explanation. So that's super cool.
I you know what I've been noticing on ads and stuff is like the hook is like someone like cutting like an orange or like cutting something
like that sort of stuff.
That's completely irrelevant to what the topic is or what the video is about. And then all of a sudden 2-3 seconds later, it's talking about, again, like skincare or gut health or fucking God knows selling a book even. Like it's completely irrelevant. I don't know kind of where that's coming from, but it must be working.
It's because that video is getting views, right?
It just looks like an organic piece of content at first. So they stop and they watch and then they get tricked into being like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's almost like a bait and switch.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I call it the doom scroll hook because typically when you're watching videos of someone throwing a rock from fucking 50 feet just to hit the water, you're just waiting for that rock to hit the water, right? It's like a doom scroll video. You're just like dying on your phone. So I'm personally not the biggest fan of those. I like the hook, even though to be a different video, to be slightly related, but those work. I mean, to each their own. To each can run their business the way they want. One thing also to think about is the audio quality on the ad. This is something nobody talks about. Audio quality on the ad is game changing, right? If like you have ASMR level like audio, the conversion is going to be better, right? If it sounds like you recorded it on a toaster, nobody's going to want to click on it.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip.
I have a question, Christian. If someone were to ask you, I'm sure that you get this in your sales pitches. Hey, what makes you guys different than another marketing company? What would your answer be there?
So great question. First things first, most marketing companies don't actually run their own ads. So if they're so good at what they tell you they do, why aren't they doing it for themselves? That's number one. Number two, most people, when they go to a marketing company, that marketing company is good at one thing. We are a master of all things because the way we built our marketing company is through departments whose entire goal is to become a master of one, right? Like our content department, master of one. Our content department works seamlessly with our media buying department, but can also work by themselves when it comes down to the media buying. So when people are looking for marketing agencies, they can work with all these different companies, or they can work with one company that has it all, that provides an enterprise level service for a small company's price, and you get a white glove experience because you get to be in touch on a daily basis with our team as compared to once a week if you were to work with an enterprise level business.
That's a good answer.
I love that.
Ross, you got anything else on that?
Not on that one. I mean, one of the questions I had was, if you had to build an agency from scratch today, number one, would you do it, the same business? And number two, how would you do it?
Yeah, 100%. My theory on building an agency from scratch is completely different than all the other people online telling you to build a niche agency. So what I believe you need to do is you need to do the following. You build a general marketing company, right? Focus very heavily on SEO, focus very heavily on content, and focus very heavily on one high income skill that cannot be canceled, right? What I mean by this is the following. So SEO, you cannot cancel this, because if you cancel it, then the whole point, that doesn't work. The whole point is to keep it, right? Paid ads, the minute you turn it off, you get no more leads. So that you cannot cancel. When it comes to content, you have to be careful, because people can do a one shoot with you and use the content for 90 days. That's a leak in your business. When it comes down to PR, same concept. They can do it once, get that article, get that Forbes feature, and then cancel. So that's why I believe you need to have one core service that cannot be canceled on, and do it in a general marketing company fashion. Work with as many possible niches as you can. Genuinely, like, have it be incentivized for you to work with more businesses in different niches. And then once you find something you like, build either another marketing company that is specifically for that vertical, and use your other case studies that are within that vertical, or build just a group in your team that is specifically working on that industry, specific sales team, specific appointment setter, specific media buyer, specific content creator, specifically for that industry. That is literally my theory on like building a lead gen agency or a marketing company.
So cast a wide net at first, find out which things you're good at or which you like, and then from there, dial in that with a group. And then if you like to market that group to just that industry, create another entity that just handles that.
Treat it like its own company.
Yeah, but the big one he said in the beginning was, like start with SEO, because that's something that gives you a long-term relationship with the, with your agency. Yeah,
it helps with churn too. Like Neil Patel, who has like a huge agency, is like, I was listening to him yesterday. Like,
he's a beast,
crazy. But he was like the first podcast he did in a while, and he broke down like what he answered that same question. He gave like a similar answer, because he said in the beginning niche, but then after offer them more services, because at that point, if you're doing their SEO, email, and as you're doing right now, SEO, email, Facebook ads, content, why would they leave? Where else are they going to go? You're doing all their stuff. So it's like hard for them to be like, I'm going to go to a different company, because you're taking away that problem for them. And I think that's the reason why you're able to charge the prices you can, because where else are they going to go?
Yeah, making your service sticky is one of the most important things ever, especially if you build a CRM with all the automations that you built out for them, where it's hosted on your GHL or whatever it may be. Sticky as fuck. So
yeah, we love GHL. GHL's a game. Is that what you guys use for all your clients?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The automations. Have you ever heard of there's a new software out, I think it's called Automatic. It's a conversational AI.
Yeah.
Are you guys using conversational AI or AI with your clients?
So we are with some of them. Some of them, they actually want to personally do it. Some of them are not big fans of AI. I'm not here to judge. I personally use it.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So Christian, so we're, towards the end of the episode here. So we always ask, our guests, basically one last question of what is the best piece of advice that you could pass on to the listeners listening that either helped you in your journey or that was pivotal for you? So like, what is one piece of advice that either you got from somebody else or that you learned along the way that you could pass on to the listeners?
100%. So it's three things. Every time I'm asked this question, my answer is always the same, because these three things changed my life. Again, first things first, don't be a slave to your mood. I mentioned this previously in the podcast. Don't be a slave to your mood. Your mood is your number one dream killer, okay? Number two, 1% improvements are much better than anything else you can possibly imagine you can be doing in your business. If you go and show up and you do 1%, you're guaranteed to be successful at some point in time, okay? And the third part is, when you're a business owner, in order to be successful, you need to be a coin with two different faces. The first face is ruthless, is willing to wake up at 5 a.m., is willing to work till midnight or 2 a.m., is willing to put in whatever it takes and get nothing out of it. And the second part of that coin is, remember to be humble, remember to be kind, remember that doesn't matter if you have $100 million in the bank or $1 in the bank, that you at your core are the same exact person. Money is simply going to amplify who you are. It's just like alcohol. If you're a nice guy and you drink, everybody's going to love hanging out with you. If you're an asshole, but you're good at hiding it, and you drink and everybody finds out who you truly are, they're not going to want to hang out with you anymore. Okay? So money simply amplifies who you really are. So be kind, be honest, Be a genuinely good person, and money is going to take you way further because you're going to be able to do a lot more cool shit because you are genuinely a good person. And that's it.
That's great. Fucking love that.
Hell yeah.
Fucking love that.
Yeah, more money, more. Yeah.
Yeah.
More
that.
fun for more money. That's for sure.
I mean,
All right, Christian, thank you so much. I learned so much from this. It wasn't even funny.
It was a good one.
So this is awesome. I think you provided a shitload of value
Thank you,
for
guys.
everybody. And you're awesome. So we appreciate it. We look forward to following you and watching you on your journey. And we'll make sure we tag all your contact info below.
And we'll be in Tampa soon.
Yeah.
We have some property
Let's
in
go.
Naples, so it's not too
Let's
far.
go.
Yeah, we'll take a flight.
All right.
All right, bro.
All right, Christian. Appreciate you, brother. Shukran.
Of course. See you guys.
See ya.